So today we have Adarsh Gourav, who's just completely blitzed his way through The White Tiger. It's a film that has got great buzz, great Oscar buzz. Adarsh himself has got a lot of buzz around him. He's already been touted as the next Dev Patel, which, if anyone who's followed Dev Patel's trajectory will tell you, is a huge, huge compliment. Adarsh, I saw White Tiger a couple of days ago, and I must tell you, you're just fantastic in it. It's a performance that is, both slippery and um, sly, and yet, you come across as both servile and sneaky. I mean, it's a marvelous combination of contradictions, which I think for one so young, I don't know how old you are. I hope you'll tell me. But for one so young, you've done a truly remarkable job. So, congratulations. And may I ask, what does it feel like? What are the things that you're hearing about yourself?
Uh, I'm hearing good things, and it feels nice. It feels nice to have validation, of course. Um, and I've been reading a few reviews by people who've seen it in the States and in the UK as well.
Right.
And yeah, it's really encouraging to see that the film is being received well, because um, I think all of us worked incredibly hard on it, and uh, it's nice to feel rewarded this way.
So, there's a lot of buzz around you being nominated. Have you heard anything as yet
Nominated for?
for the Oscars for, maybe a best supporting, or have you heard anything as yet?
No, no, no. I try not to think about these things. They're just too they're too distracting for me. Like I mean, even if it happens, I'll be glad, because as my director said, that it then gives you a chance to work with the kind of people that you wanted to work with for the next 10 years. It becomes your ticket. But I mean, yeah, I try not to think about these things and just live as much in reality as possible.
But the reality itself is quite transformative right now for you, Adarsh, isn't it? Have people in Mumbai see? Are you based in Mumbai? Have people in
I
Mumbai
am.
seen it? Because not too many people have seen it as yet. But have they seen it? Have you heard from directors? Have they called you?
No, no, nobody from Bombay has seen it. Nobody from India has seen it so far. I think it's only been sent to a select number of individuals. And yeah, I think once it releases on Netflix on the 22nd, I'll have a clearer picture about how people feel about it in India.
Tell me a little about the whole process of bagging the movie. What were the auditions like? What was it like working with Ramin Bahrani? Talk a little about that experience.
Um, when I got called in for the audition, I was
When was it? And
this
do
was
you
this
remember?
was yeah, this was in the month of May in 2019.
Uh-huh.
And uh, I was without work for 5 months, and I was auditioning left, right, and center, but I wasn't getting any parts, unfortunately.
What were you
And
auditioning for? What were the kinds of things you were auditioning for?
for everything, literally everything under the sky, I was also exploring other verticals. I was calling and finding out if there was any requirement for even voiceover artists, because I'd done a few voiceovers, and I still do them here and there. So I was just trying to make some money, just trying to be busy with some work, with whatever came my way. Honestly, I was auditioning for ads, for web series, for films, and nothing seemed
What
to be
was the,
working out.
what was the last thing that you had done just before that?
Just before that, I shot for a web series called Leela,
Right.
which was directed by Deepa Mehta and
Oh, it was
Saket
very
Raman.
good. Didn't you get noticed there? Didn't people call you for that?
No, it released only in the month of June 2019.
Okay. Right.
So, and I had a very tiny role in that.
Right.
Um, it was a very good part, but it was too small
To get.
um, to get noticed. Yeah, but I had a great time working with Deepa, and we had a great working relationship.
Hmm.
Um, so for 5 months, I didn't get any work, and then all of a sudden, three things materialized.
Hmm.
And one of them was a film that I really wanted to be part of.
Hmm.
And I was almost supposed to do that film when I got called for White Tiger's audition.
Hmm.
And when I got called for the audition, I got called by Tess Joseph's team. And there were two reasons I went for the audition. Because initially I was like, now I have a film that I'm doing,
Hmm.
and so let's just focus on one thing at once. And anyway, this White Tiger is too big a film for me. It's way out of my league. So
Hmm.
let's get realistic and let's not think about this. Let's just focus on the job at hand.
Hmm.
But then I told myself that this is the first time in 4 years that I got a call from Tess's team. I'd been pursuing her team for a very long time,
Why
and I
was
was like,
that? Because Tess does a lot of international castings.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I was pursuing her primarily because she does international casting, and also because she is one of like the good casting directors. And as an actor, you want to work with certain casting directors, and so
Sorry,
since I
sorry to interrupt again, but can you talk about the film that you almost did?
I don't think I should talk about it. It'd be very unfair of me to talk about
But
it.
it's been released. Has it done well?
No, no, it hasn't been released yet.
Okay. Okay. So let's get back to this whole being
Yes,
called by Tess's team.
by Tess. Yes. So I got a call, and initially I was like, no man, this is way too big a project for me. But then I was like, for the first time in 4 years, she's called me. So why not? Why shouldn't I just go and audition for it? And if I have a good audition, she'll at least call me for something in the future.
Right.
So that was my only motivation, apart from the fact that I had read White Tiger as a teenager and I knew the crux of the story and I knew Balram's background.
Mm.
And I said, let's not think about this too much and let's just go and give the audition and see what happens. I'm anyway not going to get it, but let's just give it so that at least Tess knows that I'm a decent actor and she'll call me again. So I
Hmm.
went with that mindset, and in span of 1 month, I had like a round of auditions, and then by the end of June, I got a call from Ramin saying that we want to cast you as Balram, and it was just the most anticlimactic reaction from me because all your life you think about this one big moment in your life, and you play that in your head over and over again, and you're like, when something big happens, I'm going to jump around, I'm going to be screaming wildly, and I'm going to do somersaults. And the moment when Ramin told me, I was alone in my bedroom at 7:30 in the night with the lights off, and I was just on the phone, very very unpoetic. And when he told me, I was like, oh, thank you. And that was the only thing that came out of my mouth because it was so unexpected, even till the end. I just didn't think I would ever get the part,
Hmm.
honestly.
What had Tess seen you in that that made her call you for this?
I don't know. I should ask her. No, I haven't asked.
You haven't asked her.
I didn't ask her why she. I was just so thankful that she called me. I didn't want to ask any more questions.
How many auditions did you do?
For White Tiger or in life?
No, I mean, how many of them? Did you have a series of rounds of
Oh,
audition?
yeah, yeah. I think we did at least like 4 to 5 rounds.
Okay. And how many
Yeah.
of you were there? Do you recall? Were there lots of people with you, or do you know who it was? No.
I when I went, there was just me. So I'm obviously there were lots of other people trying and testing for it, but because all of us had different time slots, so like when I would go, I would be the only person.
Right. What did they make you read?
Oh, like a bunch of scenes. Even in the first audition that I did a scene with as the Bangalore Balram and as the driver Balram.
Okay.
So in all the rounds, we were doing both the scenes because I think Ramin also wanted to see the flexibility of and like my range as a performer where I could do both, like a guy who was more um, not refined but more calculated,
Hmm.
and a guy who had just freshly come out of a village.
Hmm.
So he wanted to see like both the shades, and we did scenes from both the characters in all the rounds.
Hmm. So in June you got the part, and then
Yeah.
then what was the process? When did you start shooting? Did you know who was already in the movie when you got the part? The other actors?
No, I didn't know who else was in the movie. And honestly, after I got the part, I was just very focused on becoming Balram now, because for the first time in my life, I had the incredible luxury of 3.5 months to prepare for a role, and I was so excited.
Hmm.
because as an actor you never get that much time.
Hmm.
And I was just like, let's make the most use of this time. So I packed my bags and went to a small village in Jharkhand.
Uh-huh.
uh, I befriended a guy who used to stay next to my building, and I convinced him in our third meeting to take me to his village. And initially, he was taken aback. He was like, bro, we've just met. And then, like, one day we just had like this really deep conversation about life and about family. And both of us just felt like we should go to his village. And even he was excited to go back to his village because he hadn't visited his parents for 1 year.
What does
So
he do? What does this friend of yours do?
he's a writer.
Okay.
And I met him very randomly through another mutual friend. And literally in the third time we met, I proposed this idea to him.
He must have thought.
So he just thought I was a creep. Like, I'm sure he was just like, man, this guy's too fast. And then we literally changed 5 modes of transportation to reach his village.
Okay, so
And
tell me, what
uh,
did you take? You took a train?
we took I mean, from here to the airport. From We took a flight from here, from Bombay to Ranchi. From Ranchi to this other place, we took a bus. From there we took an auto, and from there again we took another auto.
Okay.
So a lot of changing. And we were sitting in the back of the auto with our backpacks, and it felt like an adventure, like I was going out on an adventure. And the whole point of this was also to just understand um, how people in villages are, and just the way they talk, and just everything, just
Right.
about 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 it. And I told him that he shouldn't tell anyone that I'm from there, that he should introduce me as a friend to his friends as well as to his family.
Right.
So for the 2 weeks that I stayed there, I was as his friend. I interacted with his friends, with the village elders. In the evenings, I would just go sit near the village banyan tree, and I would chat up with the village elders and talk to them about things that were happening in the village. And they were very curious to know who I was, because they obviously knew I was an outsider. And I told them that I'm a friend of Akshay. And then once they understood that, they opened up to me. So 2 great weeks over there, out
Hmm.
of which for 6 or 7 days I also fell very sick and I lost a lot of weight. And it was actually when I fell sick and lost like some 5 kgs or 6 kgs, and I'm already a very light person, like I'm already like 62,
Hmm.
and I became like 56 or 57. And I remember seeing myself in the mirror, and I had like sunken cheekbones.
Hmm.
And I was like, this is how Balram would look, for somebody who's deprived of the basics and food.
Yeah.
Um, I should look like this. And from there on, I just meant I made sure that I had the sunken cheekbones, and I was as thin till the end of shoot.
Hmm.
Um, so once I got done with my stay at the village, I went to Delhi. And I started working at a food stall in Saket, where I would clean plates and sweep the floor and serve people over there for 100 rupees a day, and work 12-hour shifts for 2 weeks. And I think I told Ramin on the second day of working there, and he was quite surprised, pleasantly surprised by my decision. And he said, it's great that you're doing this. And how I got that job was also I lied my way through it. For the first couple of days, every stall owner I would approach would ask me for my government ID, and I couldn't show them my government ID because I was introducing myself as Balram.
Hmm.
And I was dressing up as Balram as well, because I spoke to the stylist and she sent me Balram's clothes. And I would oil my hair every day, and I'd outgrown my beard, and I was just very untidy and unkempt in my appearance. So
Hmm.
I couldn't show my government ID to anybody. And on the third day of looking for a job, I finally found a job without having to show my ID.
Hmm.
And yeah, I would do all these things at his thela. And I
Thela
had a
or
couple of
a dhaba? It was a thela or like,
it was just one thela near Saket Court,
okay.
where he would make in a big handi he would make a vegetable for the day, and in the other big handi he would make rice.
Okay.
And there was a bhatti in which he would make tandoori rotis.
Right.
And he would 40 rupees a plate, you could come have lunch over there.
What would you get
So
at 40 rupee plate?
you would get some sabzi,
Hmm.
some rice,
Right.
a little bit of dal, and whatever tandoori roti. if you wanted a tandoori roti.
Right. And it was mostly what, for the lawyers or the drivers or
I
what?
think it was more for the working class
Right.
people who were, yeah, like more on the lines of drivers and
Right.
uh, yeah. So met some very interesting characters when I was working there. Had some really crazy conversations, eye-opening conversations,
Like what?
and there was this guy who used to work there called his name was Lucky,
Mm.
and he was just a street orphan. He had grown up on the streets all his life. He didn't know who his parents were,
Right.
and I used to just sit with him, and he would talk about the politics of that street, about which thela he used to earlier work on, and what that thela's problem is, and then why he got kicked out of that thela and then joined the. So it was like this whole other world that I was suddenly given a window into,
Huh.
something that I would never otherwise get to peep inside. Some like
Right.
very. I had a very personal kind of what do you call I had intimate knowledge about things that I wouldn't otherwise know about at all, or I wouldn't even think in my daily life.
Right.
So I worked at this stall for roughly 2 weeks, and then our script reading session started, and I had to quit the job. And
Mm.
how I quit that job was also very symbolic. I I used to call him Seth, the guy I used to work with, and I was like, Seth, यहाँ पे केला कहाँ मिलेगा? And he said, ये सिग्नल पे मिलेगा. I said, हाँ मैं केला लेके आता हूँ, and I never went back. And on the pretext of buying bananas, I never went back. And after that, I just I got busy with my script reading sessions, and I got busy with Ramin. So since I did not have time for a fixed job, I would just roam the streets of Delhi in clothes of Balram and just interact with random people on the street, just squat next to some group of taxi drivers, start talking to them. And while on one such day, I was just walking on the street, I was going towards my hotel, and I
Which
used to get
which
followed by.
may I ask you where you stay?
I was staying in this place called it's called some sweets.
Okay.
It's right next to Select City Mall.
Okay. Okay.
So the people at the hotel used to get me followed because they had no idea who I was. I would walk out of the hotel in Balram's clothes, and then in the evening I would go take a shower, wear my clothes, my personal clothes, and go to the mall and buy a salad for myself. So they would be so confused about who I was. It was like the Chachi 420 situation where Kamal Hassan would, enter as Kamal Hassan and walk out as Chachi.
Right.
Like, so on a bunch of days, they got me followed. The manager got me followed by the waiters up to my room to see whether I was actually staying there, and I would never let them clean my room. So they
Oh.
were very curious about what was happening inside. And then finally, on the last day, I think when I let them in, my the whole wall was covered in um, basically about with chart papers, and had photographs of Priyanka, of Raj, of Mahesh sir, and had like charts writ and on which information was written. So I think for a second they probably thought I was some kind of like contract killer or something.
This itself is worth a movie, you know.
Yeah, it is. It's if there was BTS shooting me, it would have really been like some amazing.
I wish they had done it. They haven't done it.
What,
They
getting
haven't
somebody
done
to
it.
shoot all this?
Huh.
No. This was way before the film started. This was 2.5 months
Hmm.
before the film started.
So, what were the script
So
reading sessions like?
the script reading sessions was basically just searching for what my intentions could be and how the scene could be played out.
Hmm.
So every actor that's been cast in the film, apart from Priyanka and Raj and Mahesh sir and Vijay sir, of course, I have been at every actor's audition
Hmm.
and read with them because almost every actor has a scene with Balram.
Right.
So all these auditions were like net practice for me, where I would try out permutations and combinations and see in which direction the scene could flow. And I think the greatest part about collaborating with Ramin was that um, he's such a genius. He just let you explore, and he himself never says that this is how it will be. He
Hmm.
will always tell you that even I'm searching, so you search with me and we'll search together, we'll see
Right.
what happens. let's not fix anything, let's not decide. And if something doesn't work for him, he'll come and tell me, this is not working, try something else. Maybe try and doing it in this way. And I think that is where magic happens, in that bracket of uncertainty, when you're not sure of how things could be played out, and when you just leave it for whatever to, like, you just let the scene happen
Hmm.
and not decide. Like, even on the day when we were shooting, there were lots of scenes where we weren't sure how they would come out, because we weren't sure how I would play them.
Hmm.
And Raj would do a certain improvisation, and then I would improvise with him, and then the scene would just go to some other direction altogether. And Raveen would be like, "This is great. Let's do this. Let's repeat this." And then once we had found that, then we would repeat it for like the other angles or whatever.
In fact, that's exactly what Raj said, that he doesn't even call cut.
He doesn't. He said whenever you're ready.
Uh,
He doesn't say action.
yeah,
So
doesn't say action.
that he doesn't say action. So that was so liberating for me as a performer, because there's something in the word action that makes you feel like a bot. And suddenly when you say whenever you're ready, you just humanize the whole process so much.
Hmm.
It doesn't really feel like you are trying to be somebody else, but you're just that. Like, I like, as I said, I don't look at Balram or any character I play as a mountain to climb, or I don't like to refer to a character I play in third person,
Hmm.
because then I'm alienating myself from that and I'm treating it as a third person. But I don't want to do that. I
Hmm.
want to believe that I'm that.
Hmm.
So when you say whenever you're ready, that sort of solidifies that feeling of believing that you are this person instead of saying action.
Okay, Adarsh, we have like I think a couple of questions left, but I want to ask you quickly. Um, does Ramin's the fact that he's not Indian, does it make him see things more clearly? Because he's an outsider, does he
Well,
understand India
there's
better?
there's a couple of things that struck me. One was that Ramin, this book is actually dedicated to Ramin.
Right.
So Arvind, when he wrote the book, Ramin was his batchmate in college, and Ramin was reading the initial drafts of the story much before
Oh,
anybody else read.
I didn't realize that. Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. Ramin and Arvind would literally discuss the book and discuss the story even before while it was being written.
Okay.
So this unfolded in front of Ramin. So Ramin had access to the book and to this side of India that Arvind presented much before anybody of us had it
Had
even.
come to India
So
before?
I'm not sure if Ramin had come to India before, but I know that he had come to India a year before the film started.
Okay.
And Ramin believes in thorough research. I think I have never met anybody else who's as passionate about films as Ramin is.
Hmm.
I think he has singular focus on what he does, and he's just obsessed with his work,
Hmm.
to a point where he just leaves everybody else around him inspired. Like I never felt like that around anybody else apart from him.
Hmm.
And of course, I mean, he had spent that 1 year, but also uh, he also had a little bit of an outsider perspective. So things that we had gotten desensitized to,
Hmm.
he would look at them very freshly. So
Right.
I think things like that are very, very important when you're as a filmmaker,
Yeah.
because then you don't want to miss out on these little things that actually humanize any film or actually add those nuances to a character or to a story.
Did Arvind come
So
to the set, Adarsh?
did Arvind?
Did Arvind Adiga come to the set?
No, he did not. He
Okay.
did not.
But they had
Uh,
obviously discussed the film with him. He had obviously discussed the film with him, Ramin.
I'm not sure. I think so, but I'm not. I never asked Ramin that.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So, since we don't have much time left, it's such a pity because there's so much that I want to ask you. But
Uh,
the shoot itself, how long did that last, and where all did it take you? Mostly, I think in Gurgaon. Of course, I could see those buildings. Are they actually there, based in Gurgaon?
yeah, yeah. We started shooting for it in October,
Hmm.
and we shot till almost the end of December,
Hmm.
right through the freezing winter of Delhi, where in fact me and Raj were shooting the climax in on a very, very chilly morning in Delhi. It was probably 4 or 5 degrees, and it was in the rain, so there was artificial rain being created.
Right.
and me and Raj had to like sort of, which scene I'm talking about.
Of course, of
So,
course. Yeah.
where we wrestle on the ground and stuff. And after every shot, we would be drenched in mud and in rain. So we had to like strip ourselves naked and then wear the same clothes after they were like semi-dried.
Right.
So it was, I think, the most challenging scene
And it
that.
must have been quite a sight for anyone who would have seen you. Fortunately, it was a closed set, I hope.
Yeah, but I mean, of course, we would change inside the tents and stuff, and we weren't like stripping in front of everybody. But because before that scene, everybody was like, "Oh man, it's so cold! Oh, it's so cold!" And then once they saw us doing this, everybody just shut up. They were like, "Listen, let's not complain because these guys are getting like drenched in like 4 degrees in the Delhi cold and getting sloshed in mud. So let's not like talk about how cold it is." And then, I mean, of course, we had the privilege of sitting in front of like heaters when we were drying
Right.
ourselves, and
So,
but like it was still very
so
challenging.
it took you from Gurgaon to where were
So
the
we shot in Delhi, Gurgaon, in a village near Agra, in Faridabad, and yeah, just these four places.
how long did the shoot go on for?
Number of shooting days were, I think, between 65 to 70.
Okay, right. So, when you finished it, Adarsh, did you
Yeah.
ever imagine it's going to be the film that it has finally become? Whether you want to call it anti-Slumdog Millionaire or another Slumdog Millionaire, whatever the critics are calling it, did you ever imagine it would be this?
No, I didn't imagine anything. I just what I did imagine was that I would get to travel all over the world with it, hopefully, because I knew that Ramin's films uh, do a lot of they get played at a lot of festivals. So of course this was pre-COVID, and
Hmm.
uh, I remember there were times when I would just go back to bed after a long shooting day and think about, oh, how amazing it would be to go to France or to whichever country it takes me to,
Yeah.
and how amazing would it be to like see Europe through this film and meet all these great people from all over the world. Which, of course, it took me some time to come to terms with the situation, and I don't think I have any right to complain because I've been very very fortunate throughout this period, this very very tough period for all of us. But like otherwise, I'd never imagined what would happen with the film.
And last question, Adarsh, what have you been doing since you completed the shoot?
Well, throughout the lockdown, I think has been a very introspective time for me. I've just become more disciplined as a person. I think I have a very tight schedule that I operate on every day now. I do a bunch of things that an actor should be doing that I wasn't that I was slacking off a little bit earlier, I think, and now I have a fixed schedule every day. So whether I'm working or not, well, whether I'm shooting for anything or not, it doesn't matter. But I keep myself busy.
Have you
I
shot
train
for
my
anything, Adarsh?
in the pandemic. I shot for a couple of ads and a mini series for YouTube,
Okay,
and I shot for Hostel Days season 2 in December,
right,
which is a show for Amazon Prime.
right.
But overall, it was of course it was a slow work year,
What was
as
the
it was for.
series for YouTube?
It's called Mera Pehla Pehla.
Okay, right. And the absolutely last question. How do you have two first names?
Because my brother has two first names. His name is Vasisht Gautam.
Why is that?
So I don't know.
What is your family
Maybe,
surname? Do you
maybe
have a surname in
I,
the
I
family?
I have a surname. My surname is Bhagwatula. I speak Telugu. I'm a South Indian.
You really? But
Yeah.
you were born in Jamshedpur.
Yeah, I was born in Jamshedpur because my maternal grandfather migrated to Jamshedpur in search of employment in the 40s.
Right. So was he working with the Tatas or like
No,
every
no. He was working with a company called InCab that used to manufacture cable wires.
Acha. So how have you traveled all over the world, all over India? Was your father, did he keep getting transferred or what was happening?
Yeah, my father used to keep getting transferred all over India.
Hmm.
So he's worked in like some really rural places and tier 2, tier 3 towns.
Hmm.
But when he got posted to Bombay in 2007, that was the first time that we decided to relocate as a family,
Okay.
because we thought that Bombay just has a brighter future for not just my father, but also my mother who works for New India Assurance, and also for me, because at that point in time I wanted to be a singer and I was learning classical music for
Right.
roughly 8 to 9 years.
Yeah.
and they thought that it would be a very very good decision to move to Bombay so that I could pursue my career in music. And
So was your father a banker or was he also in
yeah,
insurance? He was in he was
he
in
used to work for Central Bank of India.
okay, great. So they of course when they see you now, they've seen White Tiger, they've heard about it. What do they have to say?
They're very happy. I think my mom spends most of her time just reading comments and seeing how many followers have increased, and I just tell her to find something better to do. And because she's a very very productive person, okay, because otherwise in life she's like, she spends a lot of time gardening, she'll spend a lot of time painting, she's a very good painter. She's also started this whole thing on YouTube where she records videos and posts on YouTube. She sketches, illustrates, and then shoots those illustrations
Wow.
and posts them as video. Like, she does a bunch of things. And ever since this movie has come out and this trailer has come out, this has just taken precedence over everything else, and it just makes me very upset. So I keep telling her to go back to what she was doing and not get so like obsessed and bothered by it. But I understand their excitement, of course. I mean,
So are you a good
uh,
boy? Do you live with your parents?
I moved out of my house last year.
Okay.
Till the last year, I was living with my mother.
Uh-huh.
My dad would keep moving around the country wherever he would get posted till he retired last year.
Okay.
And last year, I told my mother that I want to start living independently because I never had.
Hmm.
And yeah, now I live with a flatmate.
So are you trained as an engineer? You went to Narsi Monji as an do they teach engineering? What
No,
do they teach?
no, I studied financial markets. So I studied the stock markets and commodity markets in college.
Okay, so good practice for Balram.
Good practice for Bazam, yes.
And
But
then
I was never interested in it. I went to theatre school after that and studied acting and theatre making as well.
right, absolutely. Last question: what was the favorite part in the movie? For me, it is when you say it's the century of the yellow man and the brown man. I love it when you say that.
Thank you. I I don't know what my favorite part was. I think shooting with the white tiger.
Ah, yeah, amazing.
Yeah,
That was, of
it
course,
was
at the Delhi Zoo.
incredible. No, no, it wasn't the Delhi Zoo. We went to Rewa.
Oh, acha, but there's a white tiger in Delhi Zoo.
I know, but he wasn't very well
Oh, really?
when we were
Okay.
there. Yeah,
We went to
yeah.
Rima.
Yeah, we traveled all the way to Riva to shoot with the guy, and oof, kya matlab, it was so majestic to see a white tiger from up close. There was literally like five iron rods that separated me from the white tiger, and
Hmm.
it looks like this huge cuddly thing that you just want to like
Hmm.
cuddle with and like want to pat it, and but it's like so dangerous if it wants to. Like with one swipe of its paw, it can just like tear you in five pieces.
And the kid with
And
you, of course, is the serious man kid. No, he's very good.
serious man,
He was in Serious Men, I think. The kid,
family man.
Family Man. Oh yeah,
Yes,
he's too good. Yeah.
he is so good. He is. I mean, I really think he's going to be a terrific actor. When I mean, he's already a great actor, but he's going to grow up into being a terrific actor in the
Talking
future.
about growing up, last question. What was it like playing the young Shah Rukh Khan? Have to ask you. Was Shah Rukh on set
Oh,
when you did that?
no,
No, you never got to.
I never met Shah Rukh. But what I can tell you is that at that point in time, my parents probably thought that it was a one-off instance because that was the first time that I was getting to work
Right.
on a film set. And I was shooting for 3 days, and on each day there would be different people who would come with me. So on the first day, my mother came. On the second day, my grandfather and my father came. And on the third day, my brother and his friend came. And everybody just wanted to see how a film set is, what a vanity van is like. Oh, you got your own vanity van. Okay, so what if you have to share it with somebody, but you have your own space? And okay, this is how people eat together on a film set. And this is how Karan Johar looks. Wow, he's so much taller in real life. And just, just it was a very endearing experience for. I
But you
think it
never
was,
went
yeah.
back to Dharma, Adarsh? You never went back
What
to
to do?
Karan
They
and
don't.
said, hello, I've grown up, Karan. Do you want to cast me?
I want him to cast me. I don't know. I don't know. Hopefully he casts me after seeing White Tiger.
Of course he will. Thank you so much, Adarsh. We can go on
Thank you.
talking forever, but really,
I know.
it's such a
I love chatting with you, Kaveri.
thank you. Likewise.